Recording in progress.
Comments about how good some of the articles were from the county paper.
Yeah, I
and
was gonna
stuff.
print that, the county, magazine, they had a whole magazine,
Yeah,
or most of it.
Good morning.
Good morning, Katie. Can you hear us? All right, we're just having
Yes.
trouble. Thank you. We're just having trouble with the owl again, but I think we got it.
Okay.
where are we missing? Holt and
Yep, no Bill, no Badri.
did they say they couldn't make it or what?
I haven't heard from them.
Oh,
Maybe they're still getting logged in.
yep. Well, with you here, we've got more than a quorum.
Yep, and plus Katie's here, so yeah, we've
Yeah,
got,
we've got a quorum.
yep,
Yeah.
so we're good on that, in that regard.
Now
Well,
we
there-
see you.
Yeah, and there's Bill too.
All right. And visual copies of this.
Yeah, I'll have it up on the screen when we get to it.
Okay.
Yep, good thinking. Yeah, so we've got Bill, so it looks like we're just missing Badri, so we're
Doing pretty good.
We're set
It's
to go when you
after-
are.
Mhm. And anyone else comes in, you've got copies, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get started if you want, Cash.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would someone like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second,
All right. 3, approval of the minutes of July 1st.
I am so moved.
Second. Beat ya, Bill.
All right. Citizen participation, communication and announcement. Is there anyone on? I don't think I saw.
Yeah, there's 2 people. Nomad Transparency Show and AB.
Okay. All right, did either one of to make comments or wait till they're on the agenda? Nope, all right. Home funding, a review of response to REP related use of home funds and proposed resolution to refer P and D committee to affordable housing.
Yeah, so this is kind of a multi-step process. I'll just kind of summarize. So we have just over, well, between $600,000 and $700,000 in home funds that are, accumulated from past years' allocations. We have, that's okay to do that. And now since we have a larger amount, we've kind of discussed, as the committee has asked for, creating more affordable housing as opposed to the usual rehab, of low to moderate income residences, which has been the standard. So saving this money allowed us to look or seek out a larger development to create new housing. So in order to do that for the federal program, you have to do an RFP, in terms of competitive bidding, for lack of a better term, even though we're using our money versus, all those good things. So we put together an RFP with, I should say, purchasing put together the RFP with the help of WPHD for the scoring and all that good stuff. So that those responses came in early July, but not soon enough to get on the agenda for county board in July, since there's only one meeting. So that's where we're seeking to get this in front of the county board next Thursday, and also planning and development that morning. So there was one response to the RFP, and that's what I sent you via email. I didn't include it in the packet because I didn't have the resolution ready, and this is, keep in mind, just like we've talked about before, this group isn't an approving body, since you're not, a subcommittee of the county board, so it's more of a recommendation, informal recommendation to P and D. But since it's through the housing authority, we wanted to make sure that, this group had the chance to review the resolution, and after the meeting, we'll get it submitted to Lisa for formal initiation. I have Chair Kathy's name on there as the initiator, as the housing authority chair. So this is a very unique project. Habitat for Humanity is just starting to get into Rock County. They've got a few projects going in the city of Janesville. And they had this opportunity. They work with the township, and there was 5 lots available in this Avid subdivision in the town of Beloit. And the landowner was interested in doing something with them, and then it turned out that they ended up donating them to Habitat for Humanity.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so the plan is to build 5 1,200 square foot homes, 2-car garage, basement, and then the basement will be designed to eventually, possibly have an extra bedroom in the basement in the future. So the interesting thing, and this is what haven't worked on a project like this before, but how does a single family home remain affordable, right? It's not like rent, where you can only charge so much rent. So basically, once the units are built, there'll be an application process for families that are looking to purchase one of the homes. And you can see, just trying to get it so we can see everything here. So the families have to earn between 30% and 80% of the area median income, 80% meaning the highest income. And that's pretty standard for affordable housing. But the main thing also is that they maintain affordability through Habitat, basically Habitat for Humanity. Their investment is keeping the mortgage payments at no more than 30% of the income, and plus utilities and, those extra costs. So that's that key point that we always talk about in terms of spending more than 30%, you're starting to live beyond your means, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term. So this will be, and it's just, and there's all kinds of other things that go into home buyer education and all those things about, these are the things you have to think about. So we're still working on the underwriting in terms of the finances. But ultimately, I'll scroll down here. Let's see. Here we go. So ultimately, here's what the budget looks like. So they're budgeting for $282,000 per unit. This is kind of how the budget breaks out from the land acquisitions. Again, the land was donated, so this was just closing costs. Other, pieces of the budget. So you can see we would be, contributing just under half of the overall cost, which would go towards, hard construction and other soft costs like design and that type of thing. The other really good thing about this project is when one of the conditions of using home funds is you have to generate local match. In other words, non-federal local match. So in this case, we're contributing $600,000, but we can count the remaining amount as local match because it's not federal money. So that can be carried over. That just basically supports our program for years to come because our investment in this project generates local match. So again, we haven't completely got the underwriting and all the background work completed yet to put the contract together. That's why one of the last lines of the resolutions is this is subject to those things.
Right.
Mhm.
But so this could be a combination of loan and grant, to a loan to Habitat and a grant to Habitat. Overall, they're still going to manage everything. They do all the work.
Yeah.
So the way it remains affordable, you have a $282,000 house. How do you make that, how do you have a mortgage payment that's only 30% of income? So that's where the grant aspect comes into it. So,
Do you know what the payment would look like if 30% of,
well, that would depend on their income.
I know. but,
Yeah.
Let's say they're 40,000. Could you estimate what their payment?
So it'll be 12-ish thousand, $1,000 a month, roughly, if they're $40,000 a year.
Do they have, is this Habitat, are they functioning as kind of a loan organization? In other words, would they have like an escrow account set up that these individuals would have, like somebody buying a house, there's an escrow put aside? In other words, I don't want it where they're gonna have to foot a property tax bill without having the money.
Right, so that's where that 30% factors in.
And it includes
Right.
escrow and everything.
Everything, so yeah, taxes,
Mhm.
utilities,
Okay.
any sort of payment.
Oh, okay.
And that's where they help people, because in most cases, these will be first-time home buyers. And the way, so this is kind of part of Habitat's mission. They have their own crew, and they also have donated labor and, kind of the Habitat for Humanity model. But the way this is the key point, remain affordable for 20 years. So there'll be some sort of agreement. That's what we're still working out. So think of it like down payment assistance. So part of our funding could be used to say, okay, we're going to put $50,000 down, or well, it would be over that. It'd be 600,000 divided by 5. That'll be like the down payment. Therefore, your mortgage is almost cut in half. And the way it remains affordable is that down payment assistance can't be paid back early. So you have no incentive you have no incentive to sell the house because you're never going to find anything else affordable because of that input from either Habitat or our money. So one of the key kind of goals is to create generational wealth. You know, for people that wouldn't have that opportunity potentially, wouldn't ever be able to afford to buy a home. So that way, possibly over generations, it could be, you know, the next generation is deeded the land when mom and dad move out, or, you know, so it's building wealth in the family and remaining affordable.
I am wondering, because it's still a loan one would need, is it possible that any of the money would go back to the home funds, so it would?
Yes, that's what we're still working out, that kind of balance.
Yeah,
Like if we would get a monthly payment, or if we would get, like the rest of our mortgages, it gets repaid at some point in the future, maybe
Mhm.
after the 20 years, we get repaid. They would have to take out a regular mortgage to pay off our loan. That's part of all that underwriting that we're still working on to see, you know, with Habitat's budget. As you can see, you know, this was a big part of their budget. They aren't approved yet. We have to have this approved by the county and
right.
have the contract approved, so they haven't done all their fine pencil pushing yet on their budget because they'd be getting the cart in front of the horse. So it's kind of, that's why the resolution is written to say approved subject to XYZ. So all those details still have to be worked out. But Todd from WPHD has done things like this
Okay.
before. It's just new for us.
No, it sounds fantastic,
Yeah, I
and
like it.
no, it's not 100 units, but it's starting and it's giving people the ability to build some wealth.
Yeah, and with 3 bedrooms, you know, they're built for families. So if you figure 3,
Mhm.
4, potentially 5 people, you're putting 20 people roughly
In
in
affordable housing and
that they own.
something.
Yep, and then that they'll own it.
Yeah,
And it's in a very, it sounds like a very convenient location. It's not way out in the
Yep.
county. I mean, it's kind of within the city of Beloit, right? I
Yes,
mean,
it's
3 miles from
Yeah,
downtown.
it's like we could consider it an infill development
Yeah.
where these lots hadn't been
Yeah.
developed in the past.
I mean, I don't see how we're gonna get any neighborhood resistance or anything like that. If anything, they should be happy to see it happen.
Yes, it's because it's going into a residential neighborhood, so it fits the bill, and the town's supportive of it, because why wouldn't you be?
Yeah,
It's residential housing.
Yeah,
well, it's creating a tax base too.
yeah, it is.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
obviously, so.
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
so
But
they still have to pay taxes, and it's just a matter of those subsidies, for lack of a better term, to keep the monthly payments down.
Okay.
And that's. what
Andrew,
this-
do you know how the typical habitat model in terms of the sweat equity portion of this is that there is a vetted family or group that kind of works on the home that they're going to be living in and so on. It sounds like this may be a little bit different than that traditional model. I assume that Habitat still, vets the folks that they're selling to at more than just the income level. That these are people that have gone through the classes that Habitat offers, and kind of is fully aware of their obligations, and has demonstrated some ability to, they've been paying rent and paying it on time, and that kind of thing. Habitat does a really good job of identifying people who would be able to um, sustain the purchase.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about, is this a little bit different model, or is it?
I think you're right. I mean, I highlighted here where they do point out the sweat equity aspect of it.
yeah,
How much that is, I don't know, but yeah, the key point is the home buyer education, financial readiness, and to reduce, default. When I talked with the executive director a while back about this possibility, it sounds like they're already kind of building, or they've already been talking to other community organizations like Community Action or Act Housing in that area. So they're probably already developing potential.
Probably already have a list of folks
Sounds
who
like
would,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, because they want to, I mean, they have a pretty aggressive start if everything goes as planned this fall yet. So,
Wow.
I mean, obviously they could start building, before they have families selected, but once they have all their funding in order.
One of the other missing pieces, though, is the Home Loan Bank of Chicago piece doesn't get approved until autumn. So,
Right.
that's probably the start point. We get if we have approval from the county, they'll still be awaiting that as being one of the one of the triggers for our moving forward or they're moving forward on the project.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And if you recall, the Federal Land Bank, they contributed to the Edgerton retirement apartments that we also help fund.
Yep.
So that basically there's a number of federal land banks, and basically federal law requires that banks or organizations of a certain size have to use a portion of their interest that they earn towards affordable housing projects. So this is a grant. This doesn't get paid back. So these federal land bank dollars are a big component of any affordable housing project.
Does that developer fee, does that go to a private contractor? I'm a little confused on that.
That typically is, Habitat's fee.
Oh, okay, it's a fee to themselves.
Yes, to pay for their staff and their,
I got
because
it.
they have, I mean, obviously they have hard costs. I don't know what's the balance, because they do have crews, they don't, it's not all volunteers, so they do have, they have to pay
Okay.
labor rates. But yeah, that's pretty standard. Roughly 10% of the project cost is pretty typical of a developer's fee.
Hasn't Dane County used Habitat before?
Yeah, I don't remember how many of us, I went to the Habitat presentation when we were in Milwaukee. And that was a Habitat of Waukesha County, or
Okay.
sorry, Kenosha. But they had those programs to work with technical colleges to
Yeah.
get skilled labor on their projects. I don't know
Yeah.
if will be part of this too, since we do have Blackhawk Tech here. But there's all kinds of benefits to the community, that's for sure.
As I see it, the framework for the county approving it, really comes down to the difference between we've used home funds for renovations before, and
Yeah.
we're using home funds for building new homes. That's really the difference that is being presented here. I think it's a good difference in that, as Kathy mentioned, it's not a lot of units, but it's some units, and it's also some units in terms of we hear an awful lot of pushback and the not in my backyard kind of stuff as far as multi family dwellings. These are single family homes. They're small single family homes to be sure, but they're single family homes. I really do like the idea that they're roughing in plumbing and that kind of thing in the basement.
Right.
This is a possibility. 1,200 square foot home with 3 bedrooms. you've got a pretty small living room, I mean, you're, but the idea that, this could accommodate a growing family, especially with the idea that there could be a basement bedroom or basement living space built in. They're planning ahead in terms of making it legal with egress and so on. So, I like the model a lot.
Right, for sure, and the fact that the way the Habitat's financing structure is set up, it's like locked in rent, right? You know what your payments are going to be. You don't have to worry about the landlord increasing your rent to the point where you can't afford and you have to move, and it's
Or you
stability.
pay and suddenly you're not paying other things.
Yes, true,
Yeah.
true. So when we'll go through the resolution next, but we'll have all this information in the packet for P&D next week and of course for county board. All this information will be in the packet in the same way, so everybody will have a chance to look it over. But jumping to the resolution, basically, since the county board doesn't get a lot of activity or doesn't see a lot of the housing authority activity, I kind of started the resolution or drafted it to the point where kind of gives the history of the housing authority, history of the use of the home funds and the consortium, the fact that the housing authority is made up of 5 members, up to 2 supervisors. We now have 1. And just kind of reference the fact that typical projects and this one will be managed with our consultant WPHD. The fact that we're kind of accumulating our annual funding sources to use for a larger project, as opposed to the single family rehab projects. Mentioned the desire to have new residential units, like we've talked about a lot at a lot of meetings. And I think that's the key point, that this is really not driven, but it's based on the housing authority's discussions that we've had about getting new units out there. And this is a way to do it.
Does this require from the board 2/3?
Because
it's a budget item?
Technically, for the budget amendment piece, I did that solely in case they get started this fall. If they don't, then I've also included it in the 27 budget.
Okay, got it. In other words, in the event that it was not approved, we still have other options,
Yeah,
right?
so, right. So that would be, and ultimately, these are federal dollars. I mean, if it's, yes, it has to be a budget amendment because it's in the county's budget. And like you say, I forgot about the 2/3 piece, but if someone votes against affordable housing, unless they don't like something particular about this project, but that's where the details of the contract come into play.
Right.
I think the important thing here is it's not an ask for new county money.
Right.
It's how
Utilizing
we're
it better.
going to spend money that really has been awarded or is available, and do we spend it for renovation or do we spend it for new units?
Right, so
That's the question, yeah.
so that's exactly right. So I could have, when I built the 26 budget, I could have put our whole savings account in the budget, but that wouldn't have been realistic. At that point, we hadn't
So what did you
considered.
leave?
Yeah, so because as we're talking, since this is a zero levy impact, this program, when I build a budget, it has to balance to 0. So our loan repayments plus our federal allocation has to balance our expenses. So it's really just, it's a estimate, for lack of a better term, from year to year. Okay, we know we typically get this amount of loans repaid. Since we don't have monthly payments required, we just kind of estimate, when people pay off their mortgage. So it balances to 0. So if I included the $600,000 in the budget, I would have to present that we're gonna spend it. Well, we had no plans to spend that much money, so that's why I'm doing the budget amendment as just kind of a maybe. If they're able to stick to the schedule that they proposed, they are gonna ask for a draw sometime this fall, so that way we'll be ready for it.
Question. Am I hearing that there won't be any money left for renovations?
No, we have,
Okay,
I'd have to look for sure. We have, because we have had more repayments. We have close to $800,000
okay.
in the bank
Good,
account.
because I have some comments that I'd like to make
Sure.
later about that.
Sure, and that's, so the key is, and I didn't put this in the resolution because it doesn't really matter. We were able to build this this savings account, because there was a COVID era halt on the spending requirements. Typically, we would have to spend our allocation within 2 years. So the most we could ever really accumulate is roughly $200,000 plus the loans that we get repaid. So we get $100,000 a year from our new money. Someone pays off their loan, we might get another $100,000 from the loan repayments. So that's why we have this bank account, because the laws were relaxed during COVID because it was hard to get projects done.
I think if it goes to the county board, I would definitely point out that there's still money left
Yeah.
over.
Yep.
Because
And I'll have-
otherwise they're gonna see it like, oh,
Yeah, there,
Whoops. I can see you moving, Katie, but everybody else seems to have frozen.
Yeah, well,
Oh, there we go.
They're back.
yeah,
oh,
I see my internet connection is unstable.
uh,
You're
All right,
okay now.
We'll keep moving.
and I like it. It's good.
So here's so here you go. I should have jumped ahead. So this is our current budget, $100,000. We're adding 660, the $600,000 for the project plus admin expenses, because WPHT could charge 10%. They rarely do this type of project. They aren't managing the project. They're not going to be there doing inspections. It's more of the front end work, but that's just to cover our bases.
okay,
So that's what the budget
if we
amendment.
could keep it, that would be great, but.
Yes, I'd have to, I'll probably have this prepared too, the admin side of things. They are good stewards of the money, let's put it that way. That they don't charge the max just because they can.
This sounds very promising because
Yeah,
it
it does.
felt like we were just in a hold pattern.
Mhm.
Yeah, this does sound promising, yeah. Great.
Okay, well, like I say, we don't have to take any formal action. We'll just, when I take this to P and D, we'll just say it was kind of unanimously supported by Housing Authority, and say the same at County Board.
Should we at least all verbally say
If you'd
that?
like to, yes,
I mean, I think that would be good.
yes.
At least to go on
Yes,
record that
yeah.
we're supportive.
Mhm.
I'm
Yep.
very supportive. Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
Right,
All right, great.
all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay,
All right. So that's a good segue. I think so we've already kind of reviewed the RFP or the proposal, as part of that, so we can move on to 6 if you'd like.
all right. Exploring funding options for the housing authority so they can address housing needs. Yeah, I mean, what concerned me is we haven't been able to get when is the last time someone could use that program?
Oh, the home funds?
Yep.
Oh, we have a couple.
No, I mean to buy.
Oh, to buy. Yeah, those are few and far between. We talked, I think, last meeting that we revised the program a few years ago to help, let me back up. so the original program said the house had to meet that decent, safe and sanitary before you could buy it. That meant conditions of approval on a application or a offer to purchase, like fix the windows, fix the carpet, fix this. It eliminated the ability for someone that was trying to use our down payment assistance to buy a home. So when we revised it, it was a combination, the program was a combination of down payment assistance and rehab. So in other words, if you requested down payment assistance, you had to commit to doing rehab work within 6 months or a year. I forget what the numbers are. So it still makes it challenging, but so that's the hard part is because if you buy a house, you might not be ready to rehab it right away. You might be barely being able to buy the house in the first place. So the down payment assistance is really,
It has been
not-
very difficult to
yes.
use that program. What I was wondering, because I realized that the weatherizations programs, if some of those funds could be coupled with repairs that need to be done, if the furnace isn't good, if the windows are bad,
Mhm.
things like that, insulation. If one could apply for those funds and couple it with the home loan to show that there's some funding sources.
Yeah, so we don't have any weatherization funding. But it could be,
But if that person could use
Yep.
the entity that exists
Mhm.
and couple it
mhm,
with what we could do, that might open up the doors, because I don't think sometimes if somebody's new to the market, they may not be aware of the various sources that are in the community. And
Yeah.
it isn't just what the housing authority could do or what we have available. It's different programs within the state and the county that could help somebody rehab the home so it's habitable.
Is this information anywhere on one of our website? I mean, I know we don't have our own site, but is it somewhere where it's available to potential users? I mean, how do we make sure people are aware that this is available?
So it's a little bit more tricky now since we don't have this CDBG funding locally. So that's still available to folks, but it's 12 county consortium. The problem with the home funds, or not the problem, is the condition of using home funds is you have to fix everything. It isn't that, few things here and there, it's the whole house, and that's why the projects get expensive.
But weatherization does things
Mhm,
different.
mhm.
And so if one could tap into multiple sources, maybe we could make this work better.
Mhm. Well, and that kind of leads to the 6B. We've talked about coming up with a local fund to kind of replace the CDBG local funds that we had, at least replace in part. And if we use county money, then we can set our own rules and restrictions. It doesn't have to be tied to the federal rules. Obviously, we would build the program similarly, but we could use it as a way to eliminate some of these hurdles that we've seen over the years of that kind of restrict how people can use the available funding.
That's why I was suggesting if Todd could come and kind of help us work through some of the ways to
That would be good.
package things better. So we could actually get people loans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's right. I agree. And that's right now we're working with the restrictions of the home funds. But if we
Mhm.
had our own funds, like I just mentioned, we could build things the way
Right.
that the committee is looking, to do it.
So, because I know you mentioned that he's not available today, but at the next meeting, he could come and
Yeah.
maybe try to help us there,
Would be
because
perfect.
it seems ridiculous to have these funds and really never be able to use them because it's not set up.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, this is
Okay.
I don't know.
You know, I
Anyone else?
wonder,
Yes.
building on building on what Kathy said, you know, one that came to mind in terms of emergency fund is, um, you know, veterans have an emergency fund.
Hmm.
And you know, it can be used for um, you know, repairing the furnace that goes out.
Yeah.
You know, they do provide some money, and people you know, do contribute. Number of different sources contribute to that Veterans Emergency Fund. And one of the things that we know about um, either homelessness or you know, housing issues in terms of affordability is veterans are one of the groups that are kind of heavily overrepresented there. You know, and there may be some other emergency funds that are out there that we're not aware of, that if we were able to make a connection to, you know, whether it's a religious organization or you know, a civic organization, you know, one of the service organizations, that kind of thing. A little bit more formal approach to making sure that we have an idea of where those emergency funds are and what restrictions might be there for how they can be used for housing purposes, I think would be helpful. You know, the home thing, it's almost like you've got to find a house that's in pretty good shape already that just
Right.
has one thing that it needs. And unfortunately, in terms of rehabs, that's not what we find. We find places that need a roof and they need new windows and they need a new furnace. And by the time you put all of those kinds of things together, um, you know, the affordability flies out the window, and
Right.
the possibility of somebody being able to you know, afford the loan even is suspect.
Right, definitely, and that's where, again, losing the CDBG funds was big
Yeah,
because that's how we did lead work. And
yeah,
that was granted, and it wasn't uncommon to have $50,000 worth of lead abatement on a project.
yeah.
Yep, I think that would be a creative area to work in to see if we can repackage
Mhm.
things.
I guess that is another argument, though, for what we just said yes on the new construction is that you know, we're not faced with those kinds of things. This is new construction. It,
Right.
and so the roof is good, the furnace is good, the windows are good. So you know, we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and that's where I know Janesville for sure. I'm pretty confident Beloit as well. They use their home funds for new construction, but they have other funding sources that they can bundle it together with.
Yeah,
That's how they can get something done versus our $100,000 a year. As we see, a new modest house is close to $300,000
Yeah,
based on
yeah.
that Habitat project. So it's hard to do new. That's for just with our money, let's say. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
moving forward with the, you were talking about the COVID relaxed the, so we could accumulate the money, but now
Mhm.
we're back to, we have to spend it each year, right? So like this is kind of a one-time opportunity in the foreseeable future. So, but, maybe that's something, we've been talking about like county funding to help support things too. We could look at maybe every other year or something that the county
Yeah.
kicks in some money to be able to do an RFP like this to support affordable housing. Um, and I love the idea of like having on the website potentially just a one page like potential um stack funding options that we can talk about, like reach out to this grant foundation and, these different potential partners. If we just have a list that's a great resource. Like like you guys were talking about, weatherization funds and
Yeah,
that
because,
funds.
right, and that's where Todd and I have talked in the past before this habitat project came to the forefront about how we're going to spend down the money. And that was going to be kind of exactly what you're saying, Katie, is be a little bit, be more proactive looking on the new construction side, whether it be a developer that has done affordable housing or someone that's interested, that does market rate housing, like for example, all the new development in Milton or Evansville, where you might get your money into one house, in a 10 acre or 10 lot subdivision, but it's something, right? It's something. So yeah, that's something that's definitely a good idea. And maybe move, since we know rehabs are getting harder and harder, move away from that and looking more at how do we put the money into new construction.
Or still use what you can, because there's houses that can live well with some input if somebody can
Yes.
access.
Well,
stuff.
and I think it's a mixture of CDBG and home funds, but we have, let's just say $3.4 million worth of outstanding loans.
Mhm.
I would say maybe $1 million of that is home. The problem is people don't have to pay it off till they move. So we don't know when the money is coming back, but it's out there.
I'm wondering if there's some tactful way that we could try to get people into these learning programs. And so they can qualify, if this goes through, without pushing that part too much, but to try to let people know this is your entrance point,
Mm-hmm.
and talk it up so maybe we can get some people in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times you hear that people just haven't taken the courses yet. They don't know why they have to do it. They don't see.
Right.
So if we could push that a bit.
And I could find out how long, if you take one of those courses, how long is it good for?
Mhm.
Before you have to redo it. Do you get a certificate that says you're good for a lifetime, or do you have to do it every?
Well, or if you've done it, is there like a refresher thing that you could take also to keep it active?
Okay.
And that's, I guess we'll have to wait for Todd to see if he's got any other suggestions,
Mhm.
because he's probably played with things in different areas, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody asked the right question and they started something different.
Yeah, I know, Todd relayed to me also that they're short-staffed right now. They're looking for a assistant executive director. So Todd's pulled in a lot of different directions, but this is what he does. That's what he's here for. So hopefully they'll get some relief on the staffing side of things, and he'll have more time to help us out, or the new person help us out too. All right. So I've got some ideas for future meeting topics. In addition to follow up, the ask from the last meeting, I got in contact with the former county administrator in Winnebago County that now works with Todd in some form or fashion to see how their loan program was set up. And he referred me to a staff person that's still with Winnebago County that actually did all the work, let's just say, and he was honest with that. And I have yet to get her on the schedule to join us. That's why that's to be determined.
Thank
The
you.
yeah, for sure. And they're definitely willing to be helpful. It's just a matter of getting things on the schedule. And it's helpful, obviously, that we have the remote option. And I did get in contact with the director from the Madison Area Land Trust, and he's very willing to join us. He just couldn't join us in August, so we'd be looking at September or October for him to join us.
Can I make a a suggestion for a future topic would be just the status of the home funding and number of projects and like the financial picture of where
Yes.
things sit.
Sure, that's a good idea. And that way, like I said, I'll probably have that prepared for county board next week. So that'll be good timing I'll share it with the group in September as well, or I'll just send it, I'll send it via email too, and that way we can discuss it in September.
I'm wondering if people had a chance to read some of the articles that, Andrew sent you, that was in the paper. The county papers, I know some of you wouldn't have access to it anymore. But I thought there was some very creative things going on there, and something we could learn from. I mean, one of the things I remember hearing is if some land could be donated. And I was talking to our faculty manager, and he told me that the county owns some land near URock, or what was called URock.
Okay, yeah.
And wondering, and because he was thinking that that might be a good development area.
Oh,
Maybe at one time they were thinking of doing student housing and decided it just wasn't.
Yep.
You know, that
that would be
needed.
great. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, because that isn't money that they have to come
Yeah.
up with, that's a resource
that would
that's
be a
out there.
great place.
yeah, I'll ask Brent about that.
Cause I think we're just gonna have to try to keep reaching outside of the box,
Mhm.
because,
Right, I think the fact like this project was donated land,
yes,
if we could get free, donated land by the county or private people, it's gonna make a big difference.
Mhm.
yeah. I don't know, it sounded interesting, and, if it could be multifaceted housing, I think that would help, not just singled out to all of one type of income.
Yeah,
Yeah, and now that we have a little bit more detail about, the habitats model,
Yeah.
we could look at that as an example of, how they make it work.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if that was Tennessee, Maryland was doing interesting things in where they had used county funds. I don't know how they came up with such a big chunk of money.
Yeah, yeah, that's the tricky part, is every state's different, how they can spend money, every county's different, so it's good examples, you just don't know if it,
Doable here,
yeah.
or a
But-
watered down version, would
Right.
that work?
that development that's on Highway 26 looks very promising. I'm not sure if has everybody read about it. They're gonna be putting a number of units in, like north of Menards, I think. And
Okay,
would love to know more about it, but
who is doing that?
it's a development, a subdivision, I think.
Oh, maybe even farther north by McCormick,
Yeah,
where the new Quick Trip.
yeah,
going
is
in.
that what it is? Yeah,
Mhm.
is it the McCormick?
Yep, yep,
And it's all private, it's gonna be huge as far as
Yep.
units.
yeah, that's been on the table for a lot of years, it was just a matter of what, the details essentially.
And they're not getting, it's all private
Mhm.
funding, right, at
Mhm.
this point?
Pretty sure it's just
Yeah.
market rate
Market.
housing.
Hmm.
And another Quick Trip,
Oh,
possibly.
yeah.
The neighbors aren't happy about that, I've heard. Lots of new traffic.
It's gonna be interesting to see what can actually go on there. That got through, there was no funding attached,
Mhm,
so that's where the battle is on a
mhm.
lot of it. But it was a start conceptually what they're thinking about.
Mhm. Yep,
They're saying it isn't working the way we've done things in the past. It's just not doable anymore. Okay, the land trust is kind of like for, like, well, with this, upcoming housing development, somebody donated. But it wasn't the county or, or the government that donated the land.
For the
Right.
Habitat project?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, yep, that was privately owned.
right,
Mhm.
but the land trust would, I mean, if the county would be interested in donating it, I don't know.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have other things in mind and they don't tell us.
Yeah,
But the fact that the faculty manager brought it up to me tells me it doesn't sound like it's a real live.
yeah, and some of that might be tricky in terms of how the county got the land in the first place. You know, if if whoever the prior owner was donated it or sold it at a reduced cost with the condition that
Mhm.
is for a public
Don't know.
institution. So that would take a little research probably, and so, but no, that's something I can ask Brent about.
Okay, sounds good. Does anyone else would like to add something for topics?
And just a note, I'm gonna I'll be going down to the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Riverside Apartments in Beloit at the old YMCA site. That we had just about $1 million in ARPA funds. That's this afternoon at 1 o'clock. So I'll be down there representing the Housing Authority and P&D, and it sounds like it's gonna be a pretty big to-do. So it's exciting.
See, maybe if I can to and just kind of get a feel for. what's
I haven't
going
seen
to-
an agenda or anything yet, just we were invited as, contributors, I guess you would say.
Sure,
So yeah, that's at 1 o'clock today.
okay. Okay, last call, anyone?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Get set. And